Hey, this is Terratoots with a quick tutorial on using the Painted Shader in Terragen 4. The Painted Shader is a handy tool for manually painting directly onto your terrain, and it's useful for creating masks for other shaders, displacement maps, or object populations. Today, we'll cover the basics of using the Painted Shader and demonstrate a few of the possible use cases. To start using the Painted Shader, first click the small paintbrush button at the top of the 3D preview, then Start Painting Shader, then Create and Paint New Shader. The first thing you'll notice is that a dialog box pops up with the settings for our new shader. Let's name it My Painted Shader. To start off with, I recommend using the View Relative brush, as I think it's a little more user-friendly. This will make it so our brush stays the same size on the screen, but that when we paint on parts of the scene that are far away, we'll cover more area, just like in real-life painting. We'll also make the brush a little larger, and turn up the flow a bit, so the paint comes out of our brush more quickly. One important thing to know is that the Painted Shader can only paint on terrain that is currently rendered in the 3D preview. This means that before we begin painting, it's important to let the 3D preview finish rendering, and then pause the preview. Now we're ready to begin painting. You may notice that your first stroke doesn't show up when you first start painting. That's normal, and I usually start with just a single click. Our next stroke should show up, and let's paint a nice line across the screen here. The shader defaults to white, and that's okay, as we're actually just drawing a mask for another shader here. If you make a mistake, there's a clear button in the dialog here, or in erase mode in the top menu. Once we're finished painting, go to the top brush menu and click Stop Painting. We can also close this dialog and unpause the 3D preview. You'll notice that nothing has happened, and that's because we haven't connected our Painted Shader to anything yet. To do that, let's first click over to Shaders and add a new surface layer. To make it easy to see what's going on, we'll enable the test color here, which will really highlight what's happening. Now, in the left pane, click the Mask by Shader box. Go to the green plus button to the right and choose Assign Shader, My Painted Shader. Now we can see in the preview that the color is restricted to the area where we painted. This isn't limited to just colors either. Let's hop over to the Displacement tab and add a displacement offset to our surface layer. Let's say 5. Notice now that the terrain has been raised up only in the area covered by our Painted Shader. For a final example, let's delete this surface layer, then go to the Objects tab and add a population of rocks. We'll check the Use Density Shader button and then assign our Painted Shader as the Density Shader. Reduce the object spacing to 2. Click Populate Now, and if we show objects in the 3D preview, we'll see our rock population appear in our painted area. Hopefully this has given you a better idea of what the Painted Shader is, how to use it, and some ideas on possible applications for this tool.